The year was 1956. The Cold War was raging between the US and the Soviet Union, especially in the Middle East. The United States felt its influence on the Middle East was beginning to slip away, supposedly due to Egyptian leader Gamal Nasser. In July of 1956, the US used Nasser's close relations with the Soviet Union as an excuse to withdraw its support from the construction of the Aswan Dam, which was a dam on the Nile River. Less than a month later, Nasser took control of the Suez Canal, which controlled much of trade in Africa, prompting an attack from France, Great Britain, and Israel on Egypt in October 1956. In that same month, Israel invaded Egypt, and Britain and France felt that the war was escalating too quickly and issued an ultimatum to both countries, threatening to intervene in the conflict if both countries' armies didn't move away from the Suez Canal. While Israel agreed, Egypt didn't, and France and Britain attacked Egyptian targets. Eventually, the UN was able to stop the fighting, which ended by the end of the year. Because of the conflict, fear of communism was beginning to spread, and on January 5th of 1957, US President Dwight Eisenhower called for cooperation with Congress to pass the Eisenhower Doctrine. The doctrine called for new programs that would economically and militarily cooperate with allied countries in the region. He also sought $200 million to fund the bill, once in 1958 and once in 1959. The doctrine was first put to use in 1958 in Lebanon. Lebanese President Camille Chamoun asked the U.S. to help stop his political rivals, many of whom had close ties with the USSR and Communist Syria. Eisenhower sent over 3,000 U.S. troops directly to Lebanon to maintain order. Although those actions never directly invoked the doctrine, it was meant to demonstrate the U.S.'s willingness to protect its interests in the Middle East. This was the only time that the doctrine was used. So what did the doctrine actually do? The US continued to see Nasser as a threat even into the 1960s, which was the whole reason it existed. However, it was discovered that Nasser was not communist. He had actually kept communism out of the region and kept the USSR out of the region while he used them for economic and military benefits. Instead of containing communism, the doctrine had contained Nasser instead, but it did provide a boost to the suffering Lebanese economy. So what's so important about the doctrine? Well, the demonstration to the USSR had a beneficial effect. Eisenhower was cautious over Soviet influence replacing US and European oil companies, as well as taking over shipping through the Suez Canal. If it succeeded, they would have had much more control and influence over the rest of the world. So all in all, the Eisenhower Doctrine is a document that isn't really well known. At first, it doesn't seem like it did much. But dig deeper and you can see that it's one of the reasons that life in America is the way it is today. So don't let its mysteriousness diminish its importance. The smallest things can change the world.